Good morning, Tampa Bay. What is going on? Channelside Sports in the morning. You know me. I am Danny. One of the guys that runs our Twitter account, for the record, for inquiring minds that want to pop off shots. We've got a great show lined up for you today, talking a lot about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, off-season news, notes, nuggets. Rankings are coming out of the woodwork. Chris Sims has them. CBS has them. PFF has them. CBS posted a very interesting stat as well that I think we definitely need to talk about as Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. We are definitely going to talk about the Kevin Cash comment that was made on our show by Flash yesterday. No. Evan and I did not know that he was going to come out with that hot take. And if you did listen, I told him very specifically, buddy, you just made yourself into a graphic. That's what we do here. We have fun. We let people speak their mind. And if you've got a problem with that, maybe this isn't for you. I'm going to explain to you and articulate why things such as manager of the year, coach of the year, and for the most part, a lot of MVP awards really don't mean shit when it comes to winning championships for your team, no matter if you are playing or if you are coaching. They're cute awards, sure. Can you hang them as a banner? Can you wear them on your sleeve as a fan? Yeah, go right ahead. But I'm going to tell you why they don't really matter. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Lightning. We've got a big show lined up tomorrow, of course. Henry Yoho from Bolts by the Bay will be joining us. And we're going to be very heavily focused tomorrow on our Tampa Bay Lightning as they get ready to take on the Colorado Avalanche in Game 1 of your Stanley Cup Finals. Firstly, I want to talk about Bruce Arians. I meant to talk about this on the show yesterday, but in case you missed it, we got a hot take at the end, and I had to let James roll with it because that was a hell of a hot take, and a lot of you guys were very angry about it, which I also find hilarious, and we'll talk about that later as well. Bruce Arians revealed to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times exactly why he stepped down. And we'll pull up the quote here. It says, "I was going the other way. He was already looking to retire. I was thinking he wasn't going to play, he being Tom Brady. I was thinking about who we are going to get. Who wants to trade? There wasn't anybody to draft. That was obvious. Me, to the public, I was fine with the two we had, being Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask, because I've seen Blaine with a good team behind him. Had Tom not come back, I would probably still be coaching. I couldn't give Todd Bowles that situation." So you couldn't give Todd Bowles. you felt, if you're Bruce Arians, you felt so uncomfortable with the quarterbacking situation on the team that you could not give Todd Bowles the keys to the truck to lead this team. You were not comfortable leaving him with Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask, which is very respectable. Bruce Arians has been very vocal about this entire time that there was no beef between he and Tom Brady. Tom Brady squashed that last week as well at the press conference following minicamp. The two get along just fine. Bruce Arians says that and there's no reason to believe anything else unless you're Mike Florio with some sort of hard-on for creating drama between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. There's no reason to not believe what Bruce Arians is saying. He's been very forthright. He's been very truthful this entire time. Tom Brady is buying them watches. They're playing golf. They're getting along just fine. There's no issue between the two. Jake Arians, Bruce's son, has been very vocal about it on Twitter as well, saying This is what his dad was planning on doing the entire time. This didn't catch the Glazers or Jason Light by surprise. This was something that was already in conversation. So if you're going to tell me that there was some sort of underlying issue with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians after everybody's cleared the air, you're crazy. Bruce Arians stepped down because Tom Brady came back. Yes, but he stepped down because he was comfortable with the situation that he was leaving Todd Bowles in, which says quite a that says quite a lot about Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask. We've talked about it before. Jimmy G, shoulder surgery, not going to be ready for minicamp. Probably going to miss a little bit of time in the season. Wasn't the greatest. With all the news surrounding Deshaun Watson and 2 more lawsuits being filed, it's not looking good for him. I would have still expected the NFL at this point would have announced some sort of suspension for him, whether it's a 5-game, 6-game, whole season, half season, whatever. But they still haven't announced that. But I do believe that these new lawsuits that have been filed against Deshaun Watson have really, really increased Baker Mayfield's trade value, which is also interesting because he's been pretty vocal about not wanting to play for the Cleveland Browns anymore. So you could have looked at different quarterbacks at that time. You could have looked at Baker Mayfield. Well, now you can't really look at Baker Mayfield because Cleveland's legal situations have put more value to his trade. So that makes it a little difficult if you're trying to get quarterbacks. And that's what Bruce Arians was saying. Look, I don't trust. I've seen what Blaine Gabbert can do with a good team behind him. Yes, he's seen that. We haven't seen what Kyle Trask can do. We don't know what Kyle Trask can do, but we do know that Blaine Gabbert has beat out Kyle Trask last season, and everything that we've seen through OTAs so far, Blaine Gabbert is going to beat out Kyle Trask once again this season for the backup quarterback role. That doesn't mean that Kyle Trask is not going to be a solid to decent starting quarterback in the future. That doesn't mean that he's not going to be a great backup quarterback in the future. The problem for Kyle Trask is that he's too low on the depth chart to make any current noise on this team. That's the unfortunate reality when it comes to Kyle Trask. I found let me pull this up here for you. So CBS posted a very interesting stat about NFL wide receivers. So the most touchdowns since 2014 among wide receivers. Leading the way is our very own Mike Evans with 76 touchdowns and 0. You are seeing that right. You are reading that right. 0 first-team All-Pros. Devontae Adams in second with 73. 2 first-team All-Pros. Antonio Brown is 70-4. Tyreek Hill 67-3. And DeAndre Hopkins at 66-3. I started a Twitter poll this morning. Probably a little later than I should have, but I believe there's like 15 votes or something like that on there currently. Who do we think is the most overlooked Tampa Bay Buccaneer in the last 10 years by the national media? To me, there's 2 that stand out. There's Mike Evans, and then there's Lavonte David. Lavonte David has been very, very good, very, very consistent for his entire career. He has led the team in tackles. He has a lot of times finished in the top 5 in tackles in the NFL. Maybe not so much anymore as he's kind of, on the downside of his career. But Mike Evans, we're talking about a future first ballot Hall of Famer in Mike Evans. We're talking about a guy, and look, I know somebody's going to say it. Well, he's got Tom Brady. He's only had Tom Brady for 2 seasons. Like, let's pump the brakes just a little bit, okay? Mike Evans had Jameis Winston He had Mike Glennon. Mike Evans had a bunch of guys that you all hate as quarterback, right? Yes, Jameis Winston, most polarizing player in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history. 50% hated him, 50% loved him. Wasn't a great quarterback. Wasn't a terrible quarterback either, but regardless, Mike Evans has been extremely great consistently year in and year out. And he's also done this a lot with injuries as well. There's been times where Mike Evans will miss 2 games a season. There's so many times where we're looking at it and you go, okay, well, Mike Evans is he's a touchdown factory. That's the reason why Chris Godwin gets overlooked by a lot of people is because of Mike Evans. James says it's even more impressive with Jameis, who had more interceptions than and you're right. You're 100% correct. This is an atrocity that Mike Evans is so overlooked. I use the term shade. He's got shade on him, and not shade in the term of disrespect. People aren't saying Mike Evans is garbage or Mike Evans is trash. Mike Evans has a literal shade over whatever he is doing because he's not getting any publicity about it outside of Randy Moss every now and then talking about it. Or if the Buccaneers are on prime time and they need some sort of segment to fill between kickoff and pregame. And that's the sad reality of where Mike Evans is currently, because he is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Which brings me to my next point that I wanted to talk about is Pro Football Focus's wide receiving core rankings. And I can't say that I hate it. The Cincinnati Bengals are number 1 according to Pro Football Focus, and it's hard to refute that. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd is such a potent trio, and there is an emphasis to the word trio here for me, because I believe that is why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are slotted in the number 2 position, is because they are no longer a potent trio because they don't have Antonio Brown. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, maybe Russell Gage steps up, maybe Brashad Perriman steps up, maybe Scotty Miller gets a little shine. Like there's a lot of question marks as to who's going to fill that 3rd position, and that makes me okay with how the Buccaneers are currently slated according to Pro Football Focus. The Dolphins at number 3 is very shocking to me because they have Tua at quarterback, and a lot of Tua flack gets thrown out there by, I guess more so by fans in the national media than anything. Of course, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are a fantastic duo. The Eagles, obviously, they have AJ Brown now, paired with Devontae Smith it's a very solid duo. AJ Brown actually went off on a Twitter rant the other day and told Titans fans that he was by far the best receiver that Tennessee Titans have ever had. Agree or disagree? I'm not here to debate that. This is not a Tennessee Titans show. But I will tell you, tying this back to last week, Mike Evans is better than AJ Brown. And then the Las Vegas Raiders at 5, which I think is a very huge slight to Hunter Renfrow, who was by far the most efficient catcher last season for targets, 120 targets or more. He caught like 84% of his passes, which is absolutely insane. But I'm okay with the Bucs being listed as number 2. That's the moral of the story here, is that you've got Mike Evans, first ballot Hall of Famer. You've got Chris Godwin. It doesn't matter if he's coming off an injury or not. He's still a very good wide receiver. He's one of the top wide receivers in the league. And that's really what it boils down to, is that he is just a very good wide receiver. And the 2 of them, obviously, you've got Tom Brady. You've got the GOAT. The GOAT is throwing passes to you. You're going to be good. Speaking of the GOAT, Chris Sims says that Tom Brady is the GOAT, and he cannot deny that anymore. Thank you, Chris Sims. We appreciate that. Why do I bring that up, you ask? Well, because Chris Sims is also currently throwing out some rankings as well. Chris Sims is doing his top 40 countdown. I'm gonna let you look at this for just a second and tell me if you see anything that's a little crazy. Because I see Tom Brady listed at number 8, according to Chris Sims. How I'm not sure, first and foremost, how you have Tom Brady listed at number 8 when he led the league in passing last year. I'm not sure how you have Aaron Rodgers, who was the league's MVP last season. And I know I said it earlier, and I'm going to harp on this a lot later on in the show. But Aaron Rodgers, the reigning MVP of the league, is your 5th best quarterback. So, of course, your top 4 that are missing from the list are going to be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert. What order? I'm not sure. I would assume it would probably be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and then Joe Burrow. But I could be entirely wrong, because I don't agree with any of this list. I don't understand how you have. I don't understand how you have Tom Brady, who is the GOAT, who has been the most efficient quarterback outside of Aaron Rodgers, as your 8th best quarterback. Especially and let's look at this. Matthew Stafford is number 6, right? If Matthew Stafford played just as well last season as he did in any season in Detroit, and if he was still on the Detroit Lions, he'd be floating somewhere around 14, 15, where Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill are. That's nuts to me. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. Totally fine with that. Joe Burrow. Is Joe Burrow up there yet? I don't think so. How can we can't possibly say that Joe Burrow is going to be in that position as of right now? We don't know that. Justin Herbert had a great rookie season, took a huge leap forward last year. Fine with that. But I don't know about Joe Burrow there. And I do think that Tom Brady being at number 8 behind Russell Wilson, who had an extreme down year. Russell Wilson at number 7. Why is Russell Wilson at number 7? Because he's now on the Denver Broncos. So are we saying that Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton are a better duo than DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? Is that kind of what we're hinting at if we're Chris Sims? Which is then a slight on Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, which continues to bring up my point of the Buccaneers' disrespect by our national media. And we thought that it was going to stop at one point because we did sign Tom Brady. And then we did win the Super Bowl. And everybody was going, oh my God, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are here. Tom Brady revitalized the organization, yada, yada, yada. What? Number 8? Evan, how do you have Tom Brady listed at number 8 behind Russell Wilson?
Well, let's slow down, Danny. Hold on a second. I put the glasses on to take a look at this. And good morning, everybody. It's been a really fun 24 hours with all the stuff that's been going on with us. So first of all, let's pump the brakes on this list. First of all, it's coming from Chris Sims. Okay. My point exactly. It's Chris Sims. A lot of the stuff that Chris Sims says, it's a lot of piggybacking off of Mike Florio, and we all know who Mike Florio is. He's a big bag of dicks. So, I mean, I'm looking at the top 10. I mean, how he compiled this list is I want to know what were the factors of how he ranked these quarterbacks.
Unknown.
Okay, so that's what I want to know first, because, is this like previewing how they're going to do this season in 2022, 2023, or is this looking back at last season? That's what I want to know, because if he's gonna be putting out a list like this, you gotta tell me how you're ranking these by what stats? What are you going off of last year? Like, how are you, like, what are you going off?
You know what? To answer your question, he can't, because
Okay.
Deshaun Watson is listed at number 13. He didn't play last season.
Okay, so he's making this list as a preview of this season,
But then Baker Mayfield is 17. So who the hell knows?
And he's got Geno Smith at 33.
Right.
And Geno Smith you have Geno Smith over Davis Mills, and Davis Mills did pretty well last year in Houston. Like, you could have Davis Mills like all the way up, maybe behind Jared Goff. Actually, I would put Davis Mills right wedged in between Jameis Winston and Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, then you also have Drew Lock, who's the starting quarterback in Seattle, below Geno Smith.
I don't get this list at all. So I look at, okay, let's do the rest of the top five. Let's do it.
Watson at 13. Has he watched any of his training camp? Flash says
James is viral.
Yes, James is.
We'll get into that later, I'm assuming.
Oh, yes. Oh, I was saving that. I needed you for that as well here.
Okay.
So we were talking about the disrespect in the national media.
Okay, so how about we do this? Let's reveal the last four, and then let's dissect the top 10. Because honestly, after the top 10, it really doesn't really matter who's ranked where. Honestly,
right? So somewhere, Evan, in the top four,
except for because after Lamar Jackson, I'm pretty high on Derek Carr, and Kyler Murray is, you're pretty high, because I'm looking at this as fantasy football stats. Like, if I'm looking at Derek Carr, I would definitely put Derek Carr in the top 10. I would put Derek Carr over Lamar Jackson. And I would put Lamar Jackson out at 11. I would even take Dak Prescott out at 9. And I would put Derek Carr and Kyler Murray in the top 10. So
I don't hate that, especially if we're trying to say how they're going to perform next season. You mean to tell me that Derek Carr with Hunter Renfrow, who was the most efficient pass-catching wide receiver last year, and oh, by the way, has the best wide receiver in the NFL, and in Devontae Adams is going to be the 11th best. Oh, and by the way, has a top 3 tight end.
Right. So I want to know what Sims' basis of this list is, because it's just, and Lamar, listen, looking at Lamar, his stats are ungodly. I mean, Lamar can put up stats, but I look at his body of work the past couple of seasons, and it hasn't been all that flashy. I mean, he has really nobody to throw to except for Mark Andrews. So most of his stats are on when he's running, and just, so I've always said this, and this will be another hot take. I think it should be about time that Baltimore maybe moves on from Lamar Jackson and goes their step. I mean, I would love for Lamar to come down to Tampa after Tom Brady leaves. That'd be great.
Yeah, look for those who say that Lamar's not a good quarterback, you're crazy.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm not saying either. I'm not saying he's not a bad quarterback. I'm saying he's good, but I think from where there's a reason why Baltimore has not given him a long-term deal. Mostly because Lamar's representing himself, but I just also think I don't think they want to do that. So let's do the rest. Let's do the top 4. I want to see. Obviously we know who.
He has not revealed them yet.
Oh, he hasn't.
So your top. Okay, so your top 4 is going to be.
So you'll have Joe Burrow. You'll have Patrick Mahomes.
Yep, Josh Allen and Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. I don't think Burrow should be in the top 4.
I don't think Burrow should be in the top 6. I think number 7 is a solid spot for Joe Burrow, and that's not disrespectful to Joe Burrow either.
No, it's not. And it's also not disrespectful to Russell Wilson either, because we don't know how he's going to do in Denver. On paper, yeah, he's probably going to do phenomenal, but it could also be one of those instances where he goes in and just falls flat on his face. Probably not going to happen, but it could happen. Anything could happen in the NFL.
Right.
I'm okay with having Herbert in the top 4 because Herbert has been just nothing short of spectacular in the league ever since coming out of college. Josh Allen, yes. Patrick Mahomes, I'm so iffy on him being in that top 4 because why wouldn't you put Tom Brady in the top 4 with Mahomes? Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes.
And Patrick Mahomes played like crap last season.
Exactly.
And the Chiefs won because of their defense.
And now Mahomes doesn't have his top guy now.
Right.
And which his top guy says Tua is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. So if you're going to put the top 4 as those 4, I would take Burrow out and I would drop Mahomes out. Put Rodgers in the top 4, put Tom Brady in the top 4.
I'm totally with you. And I look at Aaron Rodgers.
I'll tell you what, Danny. Here's my top 4. Allen at 1, Brady at 2, Herbert at 3, and then who's the last one?
Mahomes or Rodgers?
Rodgers at 4, and then maybe Mahomes at 5. But the top 3 would be for me is Allen, Brady, Herbert. There you go.
I don't hate that at all. I think both Josh Allen and Justin Herbert are going to be they're already 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. And we've seen Justin Herbert take such a leap forward last season. He was already fantastic his rookie year, but he got so much better his sophomore season in the NFL. And this is the Chargers arguably won by a landslide in free agency. So it's only going to be better for Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers this season. And we can't plan on their coach gaffing at the end of the game to miss out on the playoffs again.
I'm so excited for the NFL coming. More or less because I'm huge into fantasy football and I can't wait for fantasy football to starting and everything because just being able to draft those guys and putting together a top. We're gonna talk about fantasy when fantasy starts happening again. But
and surprise here, the TB4 guys and I have been talking that we are going to actually be doing a Channelside Sports Fantasy League.
Well, hello. All right.
Ooh, buddy.
All right.
Well, I'm glad that you joined when you joined, Evan.
Are we going to talk about something that happened yesterday?
Oh, we are going to talk about something that happened yesterday. So if
disclaimer to everybody, we're not a blog. We're
Correct.
not a blog. So
we're not a blog.
I love how when the guys on DAE like to talk about other local medias that are small. We're starting off. We're doing our thing, but don't reference us as a blog. We're not a blog. Right. We're not. We're a podcast. Plain and simple. You guys are a radio show. We're a podcast. So don't try and label us as a blog. That's a slap in the face.
And we're not going to pander.
No.
Just going to throw that out there right now. We're not going to pander. No. We're not going to pander to fans, to teams. This is what makes Channelside Sports. We are fans who are also intelligent that are going to talk about sports. We're going to dissect headlines. When Chris Sims puts out a dumbass list, we're going to talk about it. We're going to dissect it. This is what fans do. This is what we do. Sure. We've all, Evan and I have both dabbled in different professional sports fields. We've both done that. Doesn't mean that we failed at it. Doesn't mean that, there's 2 hacks that are in there. Here's a hot take for you, Evan, that somebody said yesterday. It's 2 hacks in their 30s that didn't make it. I'm doing just fine. I don't know about you, but I'm doing just fine. I'm having the time of my life.
Joke's on you. I was never there to make it at all. So joke's on you. Ooh, dropping the mic. Actually, that's not true. I was on Fox Sports at one point. But hey, I was there. I did make it.
Yep.
Joke's on you.
So
let's get into it. And
James Ludeman.
Yes, who was a guest on our show. So we didn't say any of this yesterday.
James does not work for Channelside Sports. Yeah, we might talk to him about that now. I might hire James
I think
just for this reason.
I think we should have James join us all the time. He should be a part of Channelside Sports.
Look, James joined the show yesterday to talk about the Lightning with us. We segued to talk about the Rays, and look, if you don't know who James is, that's on you. James was a very good journalist with Bucks Report. He is a podcast host. He has good takes and he has bad takes, just like everybody listening to the show. Everybody that listens to this show has good takes and you have bad takes. That's what makes sports and sports debates fantastic. Is we're not always going to agree. If I don't agree with something that you say, Evan, that doesn't make you an idiot. That doesn't make you, oh, you don't know about sports. That's not a thing. Tell me why you have a take.
We can't have opinions anymore. Nobody can have opinions.
Right? Like, what sort of sheltered world do I want to live in where I only talk to people that I agree with?
I don't know. That's a good point.
I don't get it. So yesterday, James had a hot take at the end, completely unbeknownst to us. We'll also throw that out there, that the Tampa Bay Rays will not win a World Series with Kevin Cash as their manager. Now, while some people did agree, a lot of people did not. Certain people that pander were saying that it was an asinine take. That's fine. You could say it's an asinine take all you want. But let me be very, very clear when I say that regular season awards do not mean anything when it comes to winning a championship, especially when it comes to manager of the year and or coach of the year. That means absolutely dick. Kevin Cash won back-to-back manager of the year awards, only manager to do that in MLB history. That's fantastic. My debate is not if Kevin Cash is the guy or not the guy. That's not my debate. He's been here for a season and a half. I can't tell you if he's the guy or not the guy yet. It's been a season and a half. Anybody that's trying to take a hard stance, and yes, I heard the comparison that was made this morning of trying to draw some sort of weird parallels between Kevin Cash and John Cooper. What? I don't know what that is about, but regardless, it's too early for me to say if Kevin Cash is the guy or not the guy. So that's not my debate with James. My debate is sitting here telling you that since 2010, Evan, only two managers that won manager of the year have won a World Series. Correct me if I'm wrong, but two managers every single season win this award, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Since 2010, only four managers have even appeared in a World Series. There's still two managers every single season that win this award. How does that work out for Aaron Rodgers? He's got all these MVP awards. How many Super Bowls does he have? Oh, he's got one.
I think he's got one.
Yeah, not so good. Last season, who was in the World Series last season? Who was the managers? Dusty Baker and Brian Snitker. How did they finish in the MVP, the manager of the year rankings?
They did not win.
No. Dusty Baker finished third and Snitker finished fourth. Not the greatest. This is my point. You can go in any sport. John Cooper's never won manager of the year or coach of the year or any sort of award outside of the Stanley Cup, which is the only reason we play sports, is to win the championship.
I'll give you my take on this, and I analyzed it from different angles. Because when a lot of people saw what you posted on there as the picture, that's all people look at.
Yes.
You really have to dissect what James really said yesterday. Now, obviously, look, my opinions are going to vary and differ from what James has said. I agree with a little bit of what James said. He's not going to win you a World Series with the Rays. I don't think any manager will win a World Series with the Rays, with what they had. Listen, they've got all the talent in the world on the field, but most, if not all, championships are pretty much bought, and that's how it's been. Look, the Dodgers, when we got beat by the Dodgers had an all-star team. They bought their players. Atlanta, they had all-star players on their team. I'm not saying we don't have all-star players, but when it comes to putting together a championship caliber team, the Rays don't do that. They don't spend the money to get those type caliber players there. So is James wrong? Is he right? He's wrong and right, because in a way, you can get to the promised land as many times as you want, but if you don't win, what are we doing? What are we doing here? You know what I mean?
This is what we're here for.
Exactly.
But shut up to smack him top.
And you can have all the I think Kevin Cash is a great manager. I mean, the awards, the accolades are there. He's a great manager. Manager of the year. I mean, we all kind of were iffy when he took over the team when Joe Madden left, and it was like that for a couple of years, and then bam, they were right back to the winning ways. But what have you done for me lately? Going to the World Series. Going to the World Series is fine. It's great. Like it's great to be there, but it's not great to lose. And 100-win season, great last year. That's great. But you lost in the first round to the Red Sox. Not great. So there's got to be exactly. And the next year they had John Gruden, who won with Dungy's team. So, when is enough going to be enough where ownership and management look at this going, okay, well, we've been here many times, but we haven't won a chip yet. Maybe it is time for a change. Maybe it is time to change it up. I mean, what they said this morning with John Cooper, with the Lightning, it's two totally different parallels, because the Lightning spend money on players.
Right. The Lightning are doing salary cap magic every offseason.
I don't and with a sport that has no salary cap whatsoever, we're nickel and diming everything. So, we have the money, we just don't have ownership that wants to spend it. So in a way, James is right, but he's also wrong, because Kevin Cash is a great manager, but I don't think he's going to win a championship with the Rays because of that problem. You open up the spending books, you make big ass trades to put them over the mountaintop, and then you'll get your World Series.
Yep.
And you know what? Maybe he'll win one this year with what we have, and we'll all bite our tongues, and then you can all call us dummies. But until then, it's not going to happen.
You're not, and look, you're not wrong. And then but it still goes to say, okay, so let's say the Rays happen to win the World Series this year. Kevin Cash becomes one of only 3 managers who's won the award to win a World Series. Mm-hmm. It's still the case in point is that, look, these are regular season awards.
Yep.
You've got some guy that's on Twitter mouth breathing onto his screen as he's typing, well, you don't know playoff baseball. You don't know the playoffs. They're regular season awards. Like, you win finals MVP. You win, those are what you win in the playoffs. The NBA has this weird, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, those weird awards now as well. But, you win these awards in the regular season. And 9 times out of 10, if you are the recipient of a coach or a manager of the year award, it's because you took a garbage team and made them better. That doesn't mean you won the championship, because as I've just told you, it does not equate to winning championships.
Danny, I just looked on Twitter, and I didn't see I saw stuff yesterday, but I didn't see the amount of hatred towards James. And I would really like to pose the question to Rays fans is, when is enough? Where we can go to the playoffs as many times as you want during the year, but when is enough when you don't win a championship? We are one of the last teams to win a World Series. Yep. And there's only a handful of teams that haven't won it yet. So when is enough? When is enough? I know all Rays fans love Kevin Cash and he's a great manager, but when is enough where you're not winning it?
Yeah. No, like you said, we're not talking poorly about Kevin Cash.
No.
So pump the brakes up. Pump the brakes,
Pump the
guys.
brakes. Pump the brakes. I just
I am literally towing the line between good and bad of Kevin Cash, because if I'm being totally honest with you, until the Rays open up their checkbook, I don't care who the manager is. I don't think it matters.
I also look at this too. I think when he pulled Snell in game 6, was it game 6 against the Dodgers?
Yes.
When he pulled Snell, I was surprised that he kept his job, because that totally turned the whole World Series. I mean, where the Rays could have. I mean, obviously we don't know. These are all what ifs.
Sure.
If they would have, what if that didn't happen, if they could have beaten the Dodgers. But to me, like in any other organization, if that would have happened, he would have been gone. But I also know that he gets a lot of direction from the front office when it comes to the sabermetrics and the analytics. It's like I said this before in my previous podcast, there has to be a time when you have to take all that analytics and sabermetrics and play baseball. You have to take it out and be a baseball manager. Do what you do best. And when you know the game like you are a baseball manager, you should go with natural baseball instincts instead of going against, okay, well, he doesn't do well against lefties or righties, or he doesn't do well against Justin Turner or Trey Turner. It's like you have to put those factors away. You have to let a pitcher pitch.
Yep.
And I want to revisit this after the end of this season. Okay, if they don't make the playoffs, what's your feeling on Kevin Cash then? Or if you make the playoffs and you get bounced in the first round again, what are your thoughts then? Or do you still want? Because I know for a fact that if that happens, the end of this year, if they don't make the playoffs or if they get bounced in the first round, everybody on Twitterverse and Facebook or whatever, they're going to be calling for Kevin Cash's name. They're going to be calling for him to be fired. They're going to be calling for him to be bounced out of the manager's seat. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen, because everybody on social media are a bunch of hypocrites.
Yes. 100.
And I'm done.
100%. And it's Bush League.
Bush League. Smack you in the mouth.
Look. Excuse me. James brings up a great point, and I'm just going to read the very last part of this post. Analytics are ruining the sport. Analytics are ruining every sport. How many times do we see an NFL coach be like, well, the analytics said that they should go for it on 4th and 5 based on the field position that they're in. And then they don't get it. And then they're in terrible field position, and then they lose the game because somebody kicked the field goal at the end of the game. How many times do we see stuff like that? Analytics are great. Mm-hmm. Analytics are fun. It's fun to dissect and use stats and use analytics. And to some degree, they do help. But to Evan's point, at some point, you need to put those away and just play the game. Exactly. You need to coach the game. You got hired for your position for a reason, because of your ability to see the game from a managerial standpoint, to understand when to pull a player, what rotations to make, when to shift your infield. You understand those things. You didn't get your job because you know how to read a spreadsheet. I hope not.
I've got an Excel
I read a lot of spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets and Google Docs. Ready to go.
Like I said, it's, to me, whether you like Kevin Cash, whether you don't like Kevin Cash, that's fine. For me, I'm neither here nor there, because I know there are bigger issues for the Tampa Bay Rays than the manager.
Definitely.
And I do know that winning the back-to-back AL Manager of the Year award has meant 0 World Series. These are the things that I know on this Tuesday morning, Evan.
I mean, look, if Rays fans, if you guys are happy with winning just the AL East championship, that's cool. I mean, if you want to settle on that, that's cool. I'm not going to hate on you for that, but
yeah, what are you, the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah. But when you're in an area where you want to keep up with the other winning franchises in this area, you have to win the big one. Like the Lightning have won 3 championships and probably on the verge of a 4th. At a third, back to back to back. The Bucs just won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. You have to keep up with the other franchises in this area, especially if you're trying to move this team over in that area too. You don't want to be, the last team that hasn't won one, which they are obviously. But listen, if you guys if you want to settle on AL East championships, I'm okay with it. If you want to be division champs and just that's cool. If you just want to be that, but I want World Series. I want a World Series championship.
Right. We don't play the game for participation trophies. I know a lot of society is about participation trophies these days, but that's not why we play the game.
Right. Danny,
Evan and I don't want to sit here and talk about losing in the World Series or not making the playoffs.
Look, I love seeing the banners getting raised down for the AL East champs and the AL American League championships too. Those are nice, but I want a World Series banner raised in the Trop or wherever they put the team in Tampa. That's those are nice all day. And like you said, Danny, those are participation trophies. That's fine. You can have those all day. But I think Rays fans should agree with me. We all want the World Series. And right now, it's not going to happen. You all have to be realistic here. It's not going to happen because with the way the Yankees are playing, and you've got the other two teams in the division right now with the Blue Jays and hey, welcome back, Red Sox. You guys are back in it. Be realistic here. You have to make moves. You have to spend money to keep up with these teams nowadays, especially the teams like the Dodgers, the San Diego Padres, which I was really floored away with. The Padres have a strong following, and they're spending tons and tons of money to bring players over. So you have to do it. Stop giving the excuses about, they're a small market team. They are a small market team, but they bring in money.
But Tampa's also a top 20 city in the entire country in terms of population. So eventually the small market team has to die.
Right.
The moniker, not.
Right. No, I totally agree with you.
Eventually that has to stop because we've got back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. We've got our recent Super Bowl winner. The Rays did recently appear in a World Series. At some point, being labeled as a small market team has to stop because Tampa is not a small market. It's not. Miami's not labeled as a small market, and it's not much bigger than Tampa.
Right. I've never heard Miami and small market in the same sentence, and Miami is still is almost the same size as Tampa.
Yeah. So to me, that's an egregious statement. Mm-hmm. That's a Michael Wilbon style statement. And I know a lot of people were calling James Michael Wilbon yesterday. And like I said, for me, if you have a differing in opinion than I do, I'm not going to say you're stupid, that you don't understand sports. Everybody takes in information differently.
You see all the comments? James is fired up.
James is heated.
He's fired up for the comments.
I can see the rose in his cheeks.
Yes.
Just from reading his Facebook post.
I know that beautiful bald head of his is getting red too. So I just want Rays fans to be, you have to be realistic and open-minded about this where, if you guys are settling on everything else, just settling on, being the bridesmaid to the wedding, that's cool. I mean, plenty of people like the bridesmaids. They're fun.
Never a bride.
They're fun. They're fun. You can usually take them home with you after the wedding because, they're fun to be with. But, eventually you want to take the bridesmaid and turn her into a bride.
Are you tying this to one of the clowns saying that James is yelling for meatloaf?
No, not at all. I'm coming off the dome with this, but I'm just saying,
I like it.
If the Rays fans, you want bridesmaids, that's cool. They're fun to be with. They're fun to hang out with. They love the party. But eventually, you want to turn that bridesmaid into a wife, and it's just right now it's not going to happen.
Yep,
not going to happen.
With or without cash, it's not going to happen.
Exactly, with or without him. Whoever's the manager in there, it's just not going to happen. And I will stand by this. What I've said today, and no matter what happens this season, because I just know for a fact that one or two things are going to happen, and I'm leaning towards there. I don't think that they're built to make the playoffs this season. They're going to get bounced by the Red Sox and the Blue Jays.
It's looking that way.
Yeah. Now, I know we have I know it's in June still, and I know we've got people coming back from the injury list, but it's something you got to turn the page on something and just make moves, man. You have to do it. It's just
You can't rely on Wander Franco leading your team in
No.
batting average while being 50th in the league in batting average.
Right.
Not sure. Could he be slumping? I'm not. I guess we have to coddle our phrases and our statements here now. I'm not saying Wander Franco is a bust. I'm not saying he's garbage. He could be slump. It doesn't matter. You can insert X Rays player name, any Rays player name. You cannot expect to be your best batting average at 50th in the league and expect to win games and expect to make the playoffs.
Right.
Period. And that's what it boils down to. Braden Point might be coming back though.
I'm excited, man. That's another weapon in the arsenal that we have against the Avs, dude. It's fun.
We're gonna need some firepower back on offense for sure.
Right.
And then, of course, we'll have Henry on tomorrow. We're gonna be dissecting the.
If James has some time, we should have James on the show tomorrow too. We should have him back.
We should,
because I know he's fired up about his comments.
You got to keep that heat though.
Yeah,
but also keep it like PG-13. That's the problem.
Okay, let me ask you, Danny. I'm going to ask you a serious question right now. If the Rays don't make the playoffs or they get bounced in the first round, should Kevin Cash go?
If they do not make the playoffs, I'm going to say yes, 100%. Okay. If they get bounced in the first round, I guess it depends on their performance.
Okay.
Did they play well? Were there any coaching gaffes? Or were they just simply outplayed by a better team?
Okay.
I think that's kind of like a double-edged sword kind of thing.
Well, there's no winners here.
Right. What do you think?
I said this last year. Actually, I said this on my previous podcast where, should he be on the hot seat because of, look, I mean, with accolades are nice, but you've lost in the World Series. You've gotten bounced before. We've seen it before where managers have gotten fired for less than that.
Look at Joe Madden.
With the
Angels.
Exactly. and like the Angels have like a playoff caliber team, and you fire your manager who has success and who has a World Series ring, and you bounce him in the middle of the season.
And Manager of the Year awards.
And Manager of the Year, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
a Manager of the Year award with what team?
Oh, the Rays.
Oh, yeah.
Our beloved Joe Madden is.
So unless the Rays are keeping Cash because he is a yes man, I mean, that's probably so. But if it were me, I would say that seat should be I think this season the seat should be a little bit warm, even after the 100-win season, because you went from losing the World Series, 100-win season. I would say if you're not going to be producing farther, if you're not going to capitalize on last year and trying to get you back to the World Series, that seat is a little bit warm.
100%. And I'm not a fan of regular season warriors. That's what it boils down.
No, it doesn't matter. Like when you get into the playoffs, regular season doesn't matter. Like,
yep.
Yankees fans are like that all the time. Oh, well, we won this you won that in the regular season. Congratulations. You get a participation trophy. Let's like yesterday, somebody posted up, oh, the Yankees could be the best team ever. They were the best team in the regular season. Congratulations.
Right.
But have they won a championship yet? No. So let's revisit that conversation. Pump the brakes there, Yankees fans. So, during the regular season, you can do whatever you want. But if you don't win the World Series, it means nothing. Look at that Seattle team like a long time ago that won how many games?
It was ridiculous.
Did they win the World Series? No.
Look at the Golden State Warriors. Best record in the NBA history.
Did they win the NBA? No, they nope. They choked.
How about when the Patriots went undefeated that year in the regular season?
All of that means nothing if you don't win a championship. Yep. It means nothing.
That's it. That's all I've got to say about it. It doesn't matter if it's Kevin Cash or not for me. The Rays need to spend money, and I don't care about your regular season participation trophy awards. I just don't. And if that's what you guys want to harp on, if he won back to back, it's cute.
Yeah.
Like Evan just said, 100 wins, great. Lost in the World Series, not great. Made it to the World Series, sure, that's fine. Are there things to build on? Yes. What the hell's happening this season? I don't care if we're midway through June. It's not. It's midway through June, and you're on the verge of falling to 4th place in the toughest division in baseball. I don't care if there's injuries. Injuries are going to happen to any team.
I wish Rays fans would be a little bit more open about differing opinions, because look, I've been a fan since '98. I've been through the very bad times of this team. I've been through the horrible times of this team. But it comes to a point where I want a World Series. Nothing else matters to me. I want a World Series. Like, cool. Yeah. One of AL East, great. If you win the AL East 3 times in a row, congratulations. Give me a fucking World Series. I don't care anymore. I don't care about division championships anymore. I want a World Series. I don't care about them. Like, so what they said this today on WDAE, Ronnie said, well, we're going for back-to-back AL East championships. Good. Congratulations. I want a World Series. I don't care about regular season stuff anymore. I don't.
And you shouldn't. All you have to do is get to the dance.
Yeah, give me back there and win it. And then
how many times?
All that will be a culmination of what they did. They won the AL East again. They won the ALCS again, and then they won the World Series. Give me that, and then I'll give you participation trophies all day, plus a World Series trophy. But if they lose it again or they don't even make it, it means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. It just means nothing.
My response is on Twitter. Enjoy.
We
will definitely enjoy.
Yes, I will.
We're gonna have Evan pull this up before we close out the show here. But
let's see here.
That's
a long thread.
Oh boy,
it's long. It's a long one. Hold on, let me share my screen. We can go over a couple minutes. It's fine. We went over like 7 minutes yesterday. Did we? Okay. All right, we're good. Let me pull this up real quick.
I own the show.
All right, let me zoom in. Let me zoom into it. You see that? Is it big? Big enough?
I can't see it, but maybe I can. Okay. I'd like to discuss what happened yesterday. I love that he's addressing it like
I know. James, you need to put a hashtag raise up on it too, so that way people know what you're talking about. Should I narrate this?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'd like to discuss what happened yesterday on Channelside Sports. I said what I said. Kevin Cash is a regular season winner, and that is well and good. I'm not saying he's a bad person or even a bad manager, but his questionable decision-making is what I mentioned. Looks like somebody already commented on that. Oh, you did. Okay. When you have a pitcher who's dealing with 81 pitches and take him out of the game, that is bad coaching. The Rays have more problems than just bad decision-making. It starts up top for the front office. You have seen since 2008 that this team can win, but they will not. With or without Kevin Cash as manager, I understand that Twitter warriors have nothing better to do than to say I love meatloaf and hurl insults at me because of an opinion of someone who has loved this team since 1998, and that is your choice. But I don't ignore the fact that Blake Snell was absolutely dealing in the World Series and was taken out because of terrible analytic mindset. Regular season means nothing, and he's right, when it comes to championships. I want this team to win championships. Apparently you all don't. I'm sure Kevin Cash does, and I'm sad that his management won't back him up and pay the money it takes to get talent there. Please be open-minded when it comes to his opinions, because most of you fans, quotations, are probably from New York or Boston anyway. I applaud that. That is a fantastic statement.
And look, how many of these Twitter keyboard warriors do you think actually go to the Trop to watch these games anyway?
Not many, because you know why? They all live out of state.
Right.
There's so many Rays fan sites that are out of state. They all live out of state. Great, you guys are Rays fans, but you guys are not in the state of Florida going to the games. You guys are watching on TV.
Well, and that was always my thing as a journalist, where I was like, okay, look, I've got this great gig with USA Today. I cover the Detroit Lions, but I live in Florida. I want to take my job serious. I'm going to have to adjust and start covering Florida-based teams. Other than that, you're just fan blogging.
Yes.
Blogging.
We're yogging.
Yeah.
Yogging. There's this new thing that's out. It's called yogging or blogging. Is that two Anchorman references in one show?
It is.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, though. I'm okay with it. We'll end on a high note.
Yes, we'll end on that. There we go.
Jesus. That's going to do it for us today on this fired up Tuesday edition of Channelside Sports in the morning. Tomorrow, we've got a great show lined up. As I said, we've got Henry Yoho from Bolts by the Bay coming on. We're going to dissect what we're expecting to happen in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final between our Tampa Bay Lightning and Colorado Avalanche. We might have James Ludeman come on and have some fun with you guys on his hot take. He's the undisputed hot king of bad takes. It's in his Twitter profile. It's social media official, guys. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with Meatloaf. I am Danny.
R.I.P. R.I.P. to Meatloaf.
Yes, that's true. That's very true too.
R.I.P.
That's going to do it for us. I'm